AWH says Tama literally turned the tides of the war. No, she did not. No, she did. That is such BS. To say Tama turned the tides of the war would mean that the alliance was basically fucked before Tama did what she did, which is not true. There was no single chapter that you can find outside of one where Kaido first said that Luffy's defeated, where things genuinely looked fucked for the alliance. So I refuse to accept that as an answer. All right. There were, like, when Tama gave the order, there were definitely characters being like, oh shit, it was getting pretty difficult with these numbers and stuff like that. But she was solving an inconvenience that was basically introduced as she resolved the problem, right? There wasn't that much discussion of like there was never a point where it was like, oh fuck, Frankie's about to lose this fight because of all these numbers. Robin is so screwed because of all these numbers. They're just like completely overwhelmed and hopeless and just desperate because they're just overwhelmed by all of these gifters. That never happened. You can find like a panel of Jinbei being like, oh, it was getting tricky with like these extra subordinates you got lying around and shit. But like Tama didn't do that much. Let's be real. Dr. Farewell says they were struggling Tama. If you want to use the word struggle in the most bare bones basic sense, then yes, technically they were having some more trouble before Tama did her thing than after. But it's not as though like the chapter before Tama gave the order, the whole alliance was just fucked and done for. You can go read the chapter Tama gave the order. The problem is essentially introduced in that chapter. For the first time, the Straw Hats suddenly start complaining like, oh, these other subordinates, these gifters are becoming some issues, right? Then she fixes it in that same chapter. You go read the previous chapters, they were doing perfectly fine. I'm just saying. Aslan says, Morj, she was 8 years old. What are you saying? What does age have to do with it? What does age have to do with it? Austin Johnson says, you need Oda to tell you everything, bro. Well, isn't part of writing that if you want to show that, you know, your protagonists are in trouble, you show that they're in trouble? Isn't that what writing is? I do want Oda to tell me things. I want him to show me things. That's called writing. I don't really know what you're supposed to say there. Tama play of the year? No, Tama's disqualified. I don't know how to drill this in enough. Tama did very little. Her impact was minimal. They would have won with her or without. You cannot tell me that the difference between winning and losing the war was having some fucking gifters on their side. Have you guys seen the gifters? Do you guys know what the gifters look like? Do you truly believe these aren't like these aren't like these aren't like vice admirals or some shit that Tama turned over to their side. These are the gifters. I think that they would have been just fine if you threw in another 8,000 or 9,000 gifters onto the Beast Pirate side. Morj ignoring all the Tama comments? Yes, I am.